What up, everybody? We are back. This is No BS Ted. I am Ryan from No Border Sports, and we got Ted from Ted Talks Ball. I almost said No BS Ted, which is kind of redundant, right? Obviously. Yeah, we are here on a Tuesday morning, 11:40, and we're coming at you with some Niners news, a little bit of recap. We got some people in the chat. I want to shout out, say what up to Jimmy. What up, Jimmy? Appreciate you stopping in. Got Carcast in the house. What up, Carcast? We got Jason, Captain Niner Smash Massey. We're putting the smash in there, sorry. It's always going to be there. And then Jimmy just saying, what up, Ryan and Ted? What up, Jimmy? Appreciate you.
Thanks
what
for
up,
being
Ted?
Here, everybody. Thanks for having me, Ryan. Back in town, we did a SoCal road trip last week. We were down. We stopped off in Pismo on the way down, and spent most of the week in Hermosa Beach. It's really nice. We saw the SpaceX or whatever it was rocket launch. It launched out of Vandenberg, which is kind of north of San Luis there.
The Falcon 9.
Yeah, and it just took off, and from where we were, South Beach, or they call it South Bay, Hermosa. It just looked like it was coming out of Ventura, which is a little further south of where it really launched from, and just went all right down the coast and up into space. And there's a beautiful sunset. Let's see if I can find a picture of it. It was pretty epic scenery. I never really understood for a long time, like, why people were so into Southern California. I visited Beverly Hills and Pasadena, LA, Orange County, LA downtown, Orange County, San Diego. Not really a huge fan of a lot of those places, but Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, with the Strand, it's like this biking path along the beach. It was like nice but approachable. People were friendly, lots of kids, lots of bikes, apparently good schools. Starting to see the appeal. Ever did pull the ripcord to leave the Bay Area? That might be top of my list now.
You don't want to go more north. You get more rain and clouds that way.
True, but it's just like everything, this far south or further south is so crowded. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So let's get into this. Real quick, it's kind of some breaking news. Safety Logan Ryan has retired, leaving us a little bit of a depth issue there at safety.
Absolutely. We got Tonga coming off his ACL.
Yeah.
Jair Brown is, he did well for a rookie, but he's still a little bit unproven. And Gibson, we still haven't really heard what he's going to do, right? We all kind of assume he's going to retire since he tried to last offseason, but it sounds like he's still TBD, right?
I guess. I'm hoping we'll hear something before the draft.
We did sign George Odom, which is good. But he's more of a special teamer than a guy you want out there as a starting safety on a regular basis.
Right. He could be in packages, but you don't want him part of your base. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not something we want. He can go in and give people breathers here and there, but we don't want him. He's not reliable enough to play any sort of serious reps. This might change. I've heard. Let's get into the draft a little bit.
All right.
Hear a lot of people talking about 49ers. If they're going to draft somebody with the first round pick, they're obviously going to expect them to start this year. So drafting an offensive lineman, like a tackle, in the first round seems kind of out of the window at this point, right? And there's a center that might drop, which you can use him as a guard. That's nothing you can bank on. So with this happening, I wonder if this kind of pulls the hand to kind of go after safety again, first off the bat, like last season.
I wouldn't be shocked. I think corner might make more sense, especially with like Cooper DeJean or DeJean or however you pronounce his last name from Iowa. He won't be there at 31, but we could probably move up a little.
There's a guy that does both, and he's right in our area. I can't remember his name. It escapes me right now. But when I heard this news, I immediately thought, oh, that might be the guy they get, because I can't remember his name, like I said. But he could play some safety and he could play corner. And I don't like getting a guy who can do both and expecting that he's going to just plug and play and be good. But this might be the situation to actually try this, because then you can maybe switch him back to cornerback. It's not like the best situation you want, but to plug a hole, that might be the best way to do it. Cooper DeJean, Iowa. Shout out to Jason. Yeah. But yeah, what's your thoughts?
I always say if you try and get someone who does everything, they probably aren't that great at anything. So whether it's a tire for your car or a mountain bike frame or whatever it is, the all-arounders typically don't excel in any one area. And that would be my concern of somebody who's a safety / corner, is that you could get a better safety or you could get a better corner maybe for cheaper too. So,
but that's probably the reason why he'll be down in our area. See what I'm saying? So it's like, and you can move back. You can trade with somebody who's trying to maybe move up and get, let's say, a running back, or somebody where they want to get them on a 5-year deal.
Quarterback.
Well, yeah, quarterback. I just think that if anybody was picking a quarterback in the first round, they probably already picked him by then. Not trying to trade back into the first round to get their quarterback. But that's not necessarily a bad strategy if you went like, maybe a talented wide receiver, like get a talented wide receiver somewhere in the middle of the first round, and then all of a sudden you trade back into the first round, you get a quarterback and get a 5-year rookie deal out of him. Sure.
Like maybe the Giants. They're talking about the Giants, like Rome Odunze out of Washington. There, one of the top wide receivers, and he was interviewed, and he said maybe the Giants should figure out quarterback kind of before they worry about drafting someone like me. And he was kind of led into a question. There was an interviewer, and they kind of said basically, okay, the Giants don't really have any set quarterbacks. Danny Dimes is up in the air. They obviously have Tommy DeVito, but I can see them sneaking back into the first to get a QB after picking up, say, like a Marvin Harrison Jr. or a Romo Duns, or I forget the other guy's name, who's highly touted as a wide receiver.
How does a shit team like the New York Giants go and ratchet up the price for an average quarterback up to $40 million, and then a year later doesn't know whether they want that average quarterback to start for them?
Yeah, that's crazy. Malik Neighbors was the name I was trying to come up with. Oh. Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Romo Duns. Those are kind of like the top 3 consensus best wide receivers in this draft.
I hear a lot of people talking to that Malik Collins. I don't know if he's going to rise or fall, but I think he's going to move during the draft.
Interesting. I'm not familiar with him, so
Malik Collins is the Debo clone essentially in this draft. Debo's Debo, Malik Collins is Malik Collins. You know what I mean? Debo hasn't been as good. In fact, Debo hasn't been as good as of late. And here we are. Brandon Aiyuk's contract. Seems like the 49ers are trying to pay him less than Debo. which doesn't make sense because Debo was your number one wide receiver when you paid him. Brandon Aiyuk is now your number one wide receiver. So you should pay him. Inflation happens. So, oh no, you pay him $1 million more than Debo. Guess what? If Debo was able to produce like he was, he would be making more when he signs his contract than the 26 or 25 that he gets paid average. So I don't get what the hang up is here.
Good question. I don't know. Yeah, and I think there's more than one Debo clone in this draft. But, there's probably really not any. Like you're saying, Debo's Debo. And we hear all the time, like, oh, he's the next Debo. But until someone really steps up and performs like that, it's just sort of like wishing a prayer.
Debo is responsible for these kids essentially coming out like this. They see his style of play. They see how exciting it is. They emulate it. Okay. There's going to be a lot of Debos coming out in the next couple of years because these are who the kids look up to. They want to play some of these kids want to play an extremely physical game, but also be very talented as far as their lines. Because Debo is amazing with his vision. If he could just get that speed back up, he's the nastiest SOB in the league. You know what I mean? Which he hasn't been. That's why I was thinking today, come next year, we got Juwan Jennings, who's going to be a free agent. Brandon Aiyuk, we don't even know if he's going to be here because they're worried about money. Like, I've come to the conclusion that I'd rather have Brandon Aiyuk and Juwan Jennings than Debo and Juwan Jennings, or Debo and Brandon Aiyuk. And I don't know if that shocks anybody. And I'm not upset at Debo. It's just when it comes down to it, who's consistently producing in the offense, those are the guys I want to keep.
That's fair. I mean, Dios has share of injuries. Some due to being out of shape from his hold in, whatever you want to call it.
What was the excuse last year? I know he had 1,000 yards. Look, that's crazy. But guess what? It's not like you can go to him at any game, any point in time, and you know he's going to get the ball for you. That's not it. Brandon Aiyuk, you have a way better chance of that happening. Way better chance. Same thing with Juwan Jennings.
I guess I would just say that I felt like Aiyuk kind of showed up big in some of the lesser games. And when push comes to shove, for me, it's still Debo. I want to have the ball in his hand. But like you said, you can never count on him to get open. He's not a good route runner. He doesn't have the greatest hands. So those are some drawbacks with Debo for sure.
And if you're looking at having a weapon to get the ball in their hands in space, you've got Christian frickin' McCaffrey. You know what I mean? That's one of the best guys in the league to get the ball in the hands in space is Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, but it's always good to have a backup plan in case he gets injured, since he was injured prior to coming here. He's been great since he's been here, but obviously 2 years before he battled injuries. So
yeah, and he had a hell of a workload this year. I don't know how he didn't get injured because he took a lot of snaps. I want to give a shout out. We got Don Dodson in the house. What up, Don? Cody finished his story. She's a big wrestling fan, so she was excited. She was wearing one of Cody's shirts. I believe it was it last night or was it Saturday night? I think it was last night. Yeah, she was wearing one of his shirts yesterday, so she was probably pretty excited when he won that belt. But yeah.
That's awesome. Good times. As far as Saturday and Sunday, she said.
Yeah, well, he won the belt last night, but there's both nights of wrestling. Like there was like the tag team champions crowned Saturday night. So there was like a 2-night extravaganza.
my timeline was flooded with wrestling stuff and Warriors stuff because the Warriors clinched the 10th seed in the postseason. I won't call it the playoffs because that's the play-in. But they could still improve. We'll see. It'd probably take a loss or two by the Kings to do it, but it's a chance they could. Well, a big game is tonight, actually, for the Warriors against the Lakers.
Ooh, that's a.
It'll get the timeline spicy for sure.
Oh, especially with those two teams, because you guys are all 49ers fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. It gets real bitter this time of year, I remember correctly. Here I am, like, where's my Seattle Supersonics? Like, once I get my Seattle Supersonics back, then I'll start talking. You know what I mean? I'll start chit-chatting with you guys. But until then.
The highlight of the Sonics was Gary Payton and Sean Kemp. And the Warriors have GP2, so that should be enough reason to root for us.
Well, the Seattle Seahawks are still undefeated, so.
There you go.
Still undefeated. So one thing I messaged you today, was there anything you wanted to talk about? And you brought up the signing of Wright and how do you pronounce the other? Sauber, the tight end twos. Give me your thoughts on that.
Right, we signed, and then the Lions signed him back themselves.
Right,
restricted. So we didn't get him. He would have been a nice addition.
He would have been. That's why they re-signed him.
He wasn't the Brock that I'm dreaming of, which I still have hopes that somehow we'll move up for Brock Bowers out of Georgia, even though he's probably top 10. He's a hell of a tight end and could be a Kittle replacement down the road.
Is he from Iowa?
He is not. He's from Georgia.
Don't want him.
I hear you. I get it. Iowa is tight end university.
God, not to say that another school can't put him out, but if we're moving up to go get somebody, go get the guy from Iowa. Holy shit. I don't think there is one this year, is there?
That was Laporta when we missed him. So the Lions got him. I think this year, Brock Bowers is pretty much the consensus tight end one. And he can block, he can catch, he's a stud. And if we're worried about our offensive tackle, who's the best friend of an offensive tackle? A great tight end out there to help him, to be almost like another offensive tackle outside of him who can actually catch and run and do stuff. So, I mean, it's a dream. It's a pipe dream. I saw that today someone was saying that the Colts are rumored to be looking to move up for Brock Bowers, but for Anthony Richardson. But we could swoop him. Who knows? Especially if we were to say trade Aiyuk and get a first round pick for him, and have 2 firsts.
And have 2 firsts and one already. Okay. So we're in a need for safety, corner, and offensive line. I'm not even worried about. So who was talking about this? I think it was Grant Cohn and somebody. They were talking about the Niners picking a linebacker first in the first round, which does make a little sense with the way they said it, because if any, with Dre Greenlaw up in the air, we might need a first round talent linebacker to play year one.
We might. That
might be a thing. So I want to put that. I thought that was a good thing that they brought up, and I got to give them credit. I believe it was Grant Cohn, and it might have been Ryan Hensley.
I've been saying linebacker ever since Dre Greenlaw tore his Achilles, because there's no guarantees he'll ever be back. There's no guarantees he'll be back in 2024. At least not to what Dre Green. And he might be playable, but he might not be, all pro.
Yeah.
Pro Bowl like he has been. So it's a concern. And then, obviously we're still kind of missing Azeez Al-Shire too. We never really found a suitable replacement for him.
We might have a guy that D Winters was coming up in certain places last year. I don't know. This is one of these calls that we'll never know until they do it, because It's kind of like last year with right tackle. Everybody was like right tackle, and then they didn't get a tackle, and they're like, no, we fully believe in McKivitz. It's like, oh, okay.
And how'd that turn out?
It's Burford. I think McKivitz. Look, for who McKivitz is, he did freaking amazing. You know what I'm saying? McKivitz is essentially not to beat him down, but he's a nobody, right?
Yeah, 5th round draft pick.
And he stood toe to toe with some great players all season long. He wasn't perfect, but nobody in their right mind would expect him to be. Is he up to our standard? Is he up to our...
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
He gets a lot of credit for following McGlinchey, you know, and everybody hated McGlinchey so much. We're kind of like, oh, anyone who's not as bad as McGlinchey is good, but there's a big difference between those two and what a decent right tackle would be.
But for him, he did great. For his standard, he did great.
Yeah.
It was Burford. Burford to me is the weak link, and that's why I want them to get a guard. I want them to move up and get a guard, and let's go from there. Because what were you saying earlier? Tackle's best friend is a good tight end, right? Okay. So let's let McKivitz have a good friend while we got the best in the league on the other side. Kittle can be McKivitz's good friend, and let's get ourselves a guard who can help Brendel and can help McKivitz. That to me,
I definitely want a guard too. I just don't think move up just because.
Move up, go to get that center, because this is the other thing. That center, he's smart. He's running I'm guessing he was running the offense, right? On the calls and all that stuff. People on the O-lines, but especially the center and the tackles are smart guys. And he can play guard first year, understand the schemes. All he's got to do is get the sync with the other players. And I think that would be a great pickup this year. And one of those things I think we need to square away to get us over that last quarter in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, Burford was terrible. It's funny. Speaking of Burford, Dante Whitner was on with Kay Adams, and he was talking about how, like, oh, Burford played fine all season, and Burford, then he blew the play during the Super Bowl. And I'm like, no, Dante, I quote tweeted it. I said, no, Burford did not play well all season, all year long. I said he lost his starting job to Feliciano, who the Niners signed off the street. Burford was only playing in the Super Bowl because Feliciano got injured. And so I totally disagree with that. Like, oh, he was fine all year and, then blew it in the Super Bowl. I was like, I don't think we'd barely seen him in the Super Bowl. They might have platooned him a little bit, but we certainly wouldn't have seen him full time if Feliciano had been healthy.
Exactly. That is 100%. I don't get how people could mistake that to be anything different. And that's why, to me, I think they're going draft with, and you got to do it now. I think you got to do it now. And they've got themselves in such a pickle, I think, by putting all this offensive line stuff off so long that now you also need to draft a tackle for the future. Because Jalen Moore is not getting it done. And we don't have anybody else in the wings, I think, that can take over that left tackle spot. We're going to come up on some salary cap issues. So I don't think going out and spending top dollar on another left tackle is smart when we should probably draft them. This would be a great time to draft an offensive guard to play now, and in the second round draft a offensive tackle to sit behind, who's talented in a deep tackle draft, sit behind Trent Williams and learn, and take over for him eventually when he retires, whether this year or next. But look at what we got going on. We need cornerback. We need safety, linebacker. And those would all, first and second round, those would be a great time to pick all of those positions too. And here we are, like, fighting between the future and today because of the past transgressions, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think we should draft a guard. I just don't know that it'll happen that highly. I think it'll be a tackle or a corner, would be my guess. Or a D end, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a D tackle or a D end, too. D line. You know how we love it. Draft D line.
Well, it's not just Kyle Shanahan, supposedly back to when he was a kid playing Madden. First thing he did was draft a defense, man. So this is how he does it.
Muscle memory at this point, I guess. Huh?
Right? Kind of. Running back in the third round. Imagine if we would have grabbed an offensive lineman every year in the third round, except for instead of a running back. Whew, we could be set up right now, boy.
Well, I mean, you just look at like Sean McVay and the Rams. They've revamped their whole offensive line. It looks really good. You look at Harbaugh. He's coming into the Chargers. What does he say? Offensive line, offensive line, offensive line. It's super important. You know, and then you just look at Kyle, and he just thinks he's smart enough to outsmart it. And to an extent, he's right. But, you know, when push comes to shove in the big games, a lot of times you have to throw the ball, and we're just not set up to do that. I do like that we're starting to get O-linemen that are – some of them are better pass blockers. And – I do like that some of these tight ends, like we let Charlie Warner go. He's a really good run blocking tight end, but he's not a good pass blocking tight end, and certainly not a good pass catching tight end. And so I'm fine with letting Charlie Warner go. I would have been happier if we'd picked up Brock Wright, but I think there's more to come here in the draft. I think we will draft somebody pretty highly at tight end.
Yeah.
I've been praying for 3-4 years, Ryan. So one of these days it's got to come true.
I think everybody is dying to see that Jordan Reed, George Kittle offense that we saw for a couple of preseasons games that got everybody all excited. And then we were all let down when he got injured. Ooh, I want to give a shout out.
They both got injured, right? So 2020.
Yeah, give a shout out here. We got Red Jet Shell in the house. What up, Red Jet? She was saying, hey, make sure to go check her out. I'm sure this Thursday she'll be on with Terror Dome. I believe they start at 7:00 in the morning on Thursdays. So make sure to go check her out. Terror. She's on other people's channels too from here and there, but make sure to go check her out and support her.
Yeah, she's popped on with me a few times.
Red Jet's a shit.
Don Dodson was asking, when is the draft again? I'm pretty sure I saw Breezy posts that were
16 days away.
Montana days away. Yeah, 16.
It's, I think, the 27th. I don't know. Hold on. I can do fancy things like this.
It would be the 25th.
Oh.
If that post was from today.
The 25th through the 27th, yep.
There we go.
I upgraded. I don't know if you can see, but I got the tower in the back there.
I see some glowing lights back there.
Oh yeah, finally.
That's a gaming PC then, huh?
Yeah, but I don't really game anymore, really. I got to figure out how to delete some games off of it to clear up for like 100 gigs.
I saw it today on my feed, and or maybe it was on YouTube. I forget which one. And they're like advertising these water-cooled PCs now. I'm like, holy smokes, water-cooled. That's
they.
You know,
yeah,
it works better than air-cooled. Obviously, it's more efficient.
They've been doing that. This thing's got liquid cooling.
Oh yeah,
that's got the hoses right there. Is the Corsair. Nice. Yeah, it pumps it that cool the CPU and pops it back out. But
very nice.
Yeah. So one thing I want to talk about that we did not get to last week.
Uh-huh.
Free agents.
Yes.
I wanted to go down your thoughts on essentially the free agents we picked up in the first 2 weeks there.
Yeah, let's do it. Also, let's say hi to Paul Hope.
Paul jumped in?
49ers Faithful UK. Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
What up, Paul? Paul did a great podcast with a gentleman from his area. I can't remember the name. We are. Oh, drop it in the comments. It's We Are Live or We Are the People, or I can't remember. But they had a great little podcast. And Paul is a clever devil. So somebody tried to rob him when he was doing the milk route. And they took the satchel, but Paul knew what was going on. So he hid all the good stuff in his jacket, gave the man an empty bag. And when the cops came back, they said, "Oh, you were in on it. You were in on it." He's like, "Nope, I got it all right here." Smart little man Paul was. Can't put nothing past him.
He's not little either. I mean, compared to me, he is, but I'm unfortunately too large. So
I meant when he was little. Yeah.
I got it. And I am dropping some LBs, doing the pump track riding and the e-bike riding. Is what I'm working on that long.
Good. Yeah. What was? Oh yeah. So the free agents. So I really like Malik Collins. I thought he's great. There is an issue I see though. He is not, and this is not good. He doesn't really pick up on the screen passes. Oh. And neither does the rest of our guys for the most part. You know what I mean? Like, they're not smart and quick with that. I don't know. It's always been our Achilles heel, but I've noticed he doesn't really pick up on the screen passes. But everything else I love about Malik Collins. What's your thought about the Floyd pickup?
I'm really happy with it. I think he's a big upgrade over Chase Young. He's a good pass rusher. He's been very consistent with his production and even more consistent with his not missing games since 2018, or maybe even since 2017, including 2018. Really happy. I talked to my buddy who's a weatherman in Buffalo, and he's a big Bills fan, and he's even a golfing buddy of their coach. And he was pretty happy for us that we picked up Leonard Floyd. He said that was a good pickup, and he'll be a good contributor for the Niners, which makes me think that we probably won't go D-end first overall in the draft.
I was kind of because I was like, hey, hell yeah, 10 sacks a year. Cool. Great. But because I went back and watched tape, I am concerned a little bit. It seemed like they liked using him a lot in the 3-5 or the 3-4, but in the 3 or in the 4-3 on running plays, he's just kind of taken out of the game. It seemed like the moment somebody chipped him in pass blocking, he was kind of derailed. And he does, look, to his credit, on run plays, he tries to set that edge. He knows what his job is. It's just if they can get a hold of him before he can get up in the backfield and kind of stand there, he can just be walled off and just ran off. I did not, like, I'm kind of concerned. But at the same time, if we just need somebody who can pin his ears back and go after him on third down, okay, you know?
Well, yeah, that's what we got. It was a great segue there, Ryan. You teed me up perfectly for Yetur Gross-Matos, our other DN that we picked up. He is great at setting the edge and great in the run game. So I think you would see him more on base downs. First down, second, and short, running downs. And then the longer down the distances, you would see Leonard Floyd for that pass rushing push.
Which I'm okay with as long as we can switch up personnel in time. Because sometimes we don't get a chance.
they're running hurry up.
Yeah, or if they're not making substitutions, then we might not make substitutions either. So you can huddle up, make no substitutions, and it not be a hurry up, but it's hurry up.
So
that was fun.
Paul was asking who are your draft crushes, because he's just done his first mock draft today. I already mentioned a couple of mine: Brock Bowers, Cooper DeJean, any of the top-rated tackles not named Sims. I don't want the guy, or Mims, sorry. I don't feel like he's played enough. I feel like he's got durability issues. I feel like he could be Javon Kinlaw 2.0 for us, but on the offensive line instead of D-line.
So I haven't really gotten into the draft just yet. I've been kind of waiting for things to settle as far as numbers go, because people move around so much, and the people you're researching before, they might move down to where they're not even in your spot anymore. So I kind of wait for a second. This week I was thinking about doing a tackles only draft, just to kind of get acquainted with the people who might be in our area at each one of our spots, to kind of have a good understanding of who we might be picking from in each round. So I was thought about doing that. But yeah, I haven't gotten into anything yet.
There you go.
I'm not a big draft guy because I don't know how to put it. It's all just like betting. Like, to me, I think the only way to really pick who the 49ers might draft is who's the captain on their football team. You know what I'm saying? That's probably the best indicator of who the 49ers are drafting, I think. So, who they've talked to.
Kittle, Brock.
Yeah, like
Trent.
Juwan Jennings might have even have been. Because he's like one of the big dudes from Tennessee in those couple of years, because the sophomore year he won the championship with Dobbs. You know what I mean? So he could, like, Fred Warner, everybody's like a team captain. And they like that because they know what it's like to have to lead men, and good team captains lead by example. So you get a whole bunch of people who lead by example. You don't have to get on anybody's ass for anything. They're already trying to be where they're supposed to be. You don't have to go up and make comments about things for the most part, because you know that they're already beating themselves up inside and already figuring out how to come back better and stronger next week because they're a leader. So that's the only way I think you can figure out who the Niners are drafting is are they a captain on their football team? So
not a Rashee Rice type guy.
Don't worry about the 40 times. I wish we'd just get rid of that. Somebody was talking about a guy last year who had the fastest 40 time. And I was like, wow, that's funny. I didn't hear about him all season. Oh, but he was crazy in the draft. But we didn't hear about anything all season long. What is it? It's not a metric for finding winners.
They should do the 40-yard dash with cleats and pads, and if you're a ball carrier, carrying a ball.
And offensive linemen
is a little bit different because half the time they're running the route and half the time they got the ball in their hands. But for like running backs, they should run it with the ball in their hand.
Offensive linemen, I don't need to see 40 yards. I want to see 10 yards.
Yeah.
That's all I need to see. I'm really worried about 3 steps max. That's really what I want to see. It's how fast you can get up out of your stance and how much you can cover, let's say, about 3 yards. That's what's really interesting to me, is because I know you getting out of your stance how quickly you can get to the spot to go ahead and seal an edge so the ball can go right behind you to the outside. That's what I want to know. You know what I mean? That's the important stuff to me.
Pass block. Most college O-linemen can't pass block anymore either.
We got Paul Hope coming up saying, don't forget to hit the smash button and sub for both channels. We appreciate that. I know I had my window open. Ted Talks Ball.
Yeah, I've got them both open. Watching on 2 tabs. Yeah, we're on both channels. So make sure if you're on Ted Talks Ball, get over to No Borders, give Ryan a like and subscribe. And if you're on his channel, please do the same for me.
Any of the other free agents we picked up you wanted to touch on? There was
I like Jordan Elliott from the Browns, defensive tackle. You mentioned Malik Collins. I like him a lot.
What about the Isaac Yiadom or Yodom? Yodom.
Sounds like people are pretty optimistic about him as a corner. I mean, I think anything that just makes us less predictable for the draft, is good.
Bless you.
I didn't get a chance to mute that. Snuck up on me. But it seemed like Isaac Yiadom, he, has some potential upside. Same thing with the running back that we got as well.
The latest one, because I couldn't believe we're picking up running backs. I'm like, what is going on? Like,
well, if you're of the opinion that like Kyle doesn't trust anybody but Christian McCaffrey, then yeah, we need another running back that he actually trusts. That he'll actually split some reps with when Christian McCaffrey is healthy, and not wait for him to get injured or gassed to let someone else play.
I heard, who was it? Who was talking about this? They were talking about how Mitchell can't block, Jordan Mason can't block, and that if they're in the game, that it's a run game, a run play, because they can't block. And I was like, well, yes, you would think that, but then you just can call a play, and if the teams all believe that it's a run play because they're in the backfield, then just call the pass play. It doesn't matter if it works in your logic. If the actual defense you're going up against is playing it that way, just do it different. So I thought that was funny because they were like, they weren't heated, but they were going back and forth. And I was like, well, but really, it doesn't matter if that's what it makes sense on paper. If the defense is giving you that read, you got to go for it, right? Isn't that Kyle Shanahan's thing anyways? That's how he does it. That's why we get in certain situations when we should be running the ball.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what happens. So you got to mix up your tendencies and not be so predictable, because even the right play, if you call it at the wrong time, is not going to work as well.
Yeah.
He knows what's coming in the NFL. NFL defenses are too good to just overpower them with great play calling.
Shout out to everybody watching. We got 42 tuning in. We got 32 on Twitter, Ted.
Really?
Wow. Yeah. 32 people watching on Twitter.
Well, I would be careful. I think at least my StreamYard has had a glitch lately where it's looked like more than what I saw. Like right now on YouTube, I see 6 on my channel and 4 on yours.
Yep, that's what I see. But your X account says 32.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, come on over to YouTube, folks.
We appreciate you watching no matter what, though.
Yeah,
we appreciate you. Oh, we got Aaron in the house.
What's up, Aaron?
What up, Aaron? Appreciate you stopping in, sir. Saw your show with Raj the other day. Glad to see you back at it, sir. How'd your therapy? Was it therapy you had coming up?
Probably physical therapy.
Physical therapy. Oh, we got Crazy Juice in the house. What up, Crazy Juice? Appreciate you stopping in, sir. Yeah. Anything else we need to cover? You want to talk about the Brandon Aiyuk contract?
I mean, what contract?
So I was thinking the other day. So, people are talking about, the Niners don't want to pay him more than Debo. And I was thinking, we heard a report that Brandon Aiyuk's at 27, Niners are at 22. And everybody's like, oh, gosh. And it's like, well, at this part of the conversation, that's where they're going to be to kind of get to the number that they want. They're going to start far out here and move in. Right. So then I just started doing the math. So if Brandon Aiyuk starts at 27, says, I want 27, the 49ers say 22. Brandon Aiyuk then says 26, right? And then the 49ers say 23. And then Brandon Aiyuk says 25. And the 49ers say 24, which is $1 million under Debo. So when I looked,
Debo was 22 or 23.
Average over the year. I think he's making more than that this year, more than 25 this year.
Oh, this year. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He makes more than that, but the average, like his average pay.
It was like 22.5 or 23.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, I heard them trying to pay less than Debo. Debo's at like 25 or something like that. And I was like, okay. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. It matches 24. I think that's where they want him.
So average is 23.8 for Debo. That was a little off. So almost 24 for Debo. Average.
Yeah. Which, to me, I'm sorry, I'll pay Brandon Aiyuk 26. Brandon, here, 26. Let's just do this. Let's get this over with.
Well, I would just say that when I saw that we were talking to Tyler Boyd, the Bengals wide receiver 3, at first I quote tweeted it and I said due diligence, because we're not serious. It's just one of our usual, we talk, we try, we didn't get him, blah, blah, blah. But if we're really far apart with Brandon Aiyuk, then there might be more credence to a Tyler Boyd type of situation. It would be a step down, but like I said, if he's a lot cheaper, you don't have to be better to be a better value in a salary cap league. But I think for Aiyuk, I said 24, 25, maybe 26 was what I've been saying all along. So I wouldn't mind 24, 25. I don't know, 26 seems a little rich for me, but $1 million here, $1 million there.
The way I see it is I'm probably going to, I would be thinking about moving on from Debo. Just with his production, I can't, who was it? I think it was CarCast. CarCast had somebody on and they were talking about CJ Gardner, not CJ Gardner Johnson, but no, Big Play Slay. Big Play Slay was washed. Said, no, he's not washed. He's just not playing to the potential that he's being paid at. So to me, I think Debo's in the same situation. Debo's getting paid a lot of money, and I don't think he's living up to that potential. So I would rather keep somebody like Brandon Aiyuk and move on from Debo, and then maybe think about being able to keep someone like Juwan Jennings. And then I've got a good number 1, number 2 wide receiver. And then I'll use somebody like Ronnie Bell for my Debo at that point in time. Get that guy the ball in space and he will run all over the field. So that's my thought. I'd rather keep Brandon Aiyuk than Debo, because Brandon Aiyuk gives us an actual out in man coverage. He gives us enough speed for him to be like truly respected among DBs. And then he's got the ankle breaking moves that make every safety have to make sure they're always keeping an eye on his side of the field because that DB could go down at any moment. You know what I mean? So he's got to be in there because, you know, Brandon Aiyuk could be butt naked out in the middle of the field just doing a couple cuts. So that's where I'm at. And I'm sad because I love Debo.
Yeah.
But
I want to see one more year. We can afford them both this season.
Yeah.
Once we restructure Aiyuk and push a lot of his salary down the road. I want to see one more season before I decide, but I can totally see where you're coming from, Ryan. I mean, I've been for a long time a big Debo guy, but you know, the last couple seasons have been lackluster since he got paid. Even though, like you said, he got 1,000 yards combined, you know, rushing and receiving. I just feel like he should be more like 1,100 yards receiving and 300 yards rushing. So more like 13, 1,400 combined yards. So
I don't care about the rushing. We've got 3 studs in our backfield. I don't care about rushing. I want the pass yards. I want you to make somebody look freaking stupid out on the field and you be butt naked in the middle of the field, talk about, Purdy, where's my shot? You know what I mean? That's what I want to see out of Debo. And then the moment you get that ball, I want to see you punish that safety, which he's great at doing. It's just he's not great at getting open in the middle of the field where we need him without some gimmick.
No, that's true. The yak, though, it's not just the yak; it's just what it does for the team when you see him truck somebody. It just his juices flowing. It just.
But you can get that same feeling out of Aiyuk catching some big bomb over the middle and making a guy miss and going for another 7-8 yards afterwards. It's not the same, but you can get the same kind of adrenaline raise in effect, you know, get you started, get you going. We also have Kittle. Kittle makes those plays. Kittle makes those plays when he's blocking. You got Jawan Jennings who's blocking people into the Gatorade. He didn't even get a penalty for that. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe he didn't get a penalty for that. He blocked him all the way into the Gatorade.
He's an insane blocker. For
sure. I love him. But hey, I think I got to be, well, I guess we can go another 5 minutes. We got 5 minutes. 5 minutos.
What else is going on? As far as, you know, other free agents, I feel like there was a few more that we didn't get to.
Yeah.
Not really notable, but
Ezekiel Turner. Campbell from the linebacker from the Green Bay Packers, who's been declining in the last 2 and came out and said that it was the Green Bay Packers scheme that sucked and that he's been trying to tell him for 2 years and he couldn't believe he was able to go all pro despite of their scheme or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Devondre Campbell. I was a few years ago, but it seems like he fell. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just the wrong scheme, and being with us will clear it up. That would be the hope. But it was a bummer that, you know, Eric Kendricks said yes to us and then jilted us for, of all teams, the Dallas Cowboys. That really sucked. I was kind of hoping for Levante David. I said that to Raj a few times during the offseason. But he was a little too expensive. I understand that. Something funky going on with my Twitter X account. I don't see my bookmarks at all.
Oh, well, I got some right here for you.
Oh, there it is. Okay, it's hidden.
We got who else was it? The Brandon Parker offensive tackle.
Ooh.
Feliciano's back on a 1-year deal. Chris
Oh,
Connolly, we picked him up.
I'm excited
Again.
about both of those, Feliciano and Connolly.
We hinted Dobbs, but we didn't talk about Dobbs. What was your thoughts on Dobbs as the backup quarterback?
Yeah, I think he will be the backup. I saw some people saying they thought it'd be Brandon Allen. I just think Dobbs is more talented and way more upside, and I think he'll win it in camp.
Oh yeah,
if he isn't handed it even before that. So we'll see.
He's got talent. He's not a starter, but I think, I don't know, he could rekindle some sort of a career. Last year, he didn't do that bad, going from one team to another. I mean, he didn't do bad. He kept the Vikings close. The Cards did as good with Dobbs as they did with Kyler Murray as far as average yards per game. So I'm happy. At least if something happens with Brock Purdy and he gets injured, we've got a guy in Dobbs who's not scared of shit. You know what I mean? Like, he might lose you the game, but he could also win that for you. You know what I mean?
He played well against us. I think Ezekiel Turner, the linebacker, was more like a replacement for Oren Burks because we lost him.
Yes, he's special teams.
And then there was Chase Lucas, a cornerback from the Lions, who we got. Who's more.
That's right.
So and running back Patrick Taylor. I don't know. We'll see about him.
I don't think Kyle's getting a running back this year. I think he's like, you're not getting Frank Clark or Frank Gore Jr.
And we signed, like you said, Feliciano, McKivitz, Givens. Mm-hmm. We didn't really talk about. He's kind of.
We had McKivitz already signed.
Odom, Flanagan, DFF, Brandon Allen, Chris Conley. I really like Chris Conley. I liked him last camp. I thought he would make the 53. He didn't, but he played really well in the playoffs. I like him a lot.
If Chris Connolly didn't make like 2 of the 3 catches in the playoffs, we wouldn't have gotten to the next game, I don't think.
Yeah, there was a huge one against the Packers, I remember, for sure.
Huge ones against the Packers, and I think he had another one in the Super Bowl.
Could be, or
it was in the Lions game, but he had another one that essentially got us down to where we could get points to either win the game, time of the game, or something like that. Like, it was. That's why when I heard he resigned, I was like, hell yes, because it seems to me like no moment's too big for him, which is great because Kyle likes to, on these big downs, he'll throw somebody in there that a whole defense is like, that guy ain't getting the ball, and then all of a sudden that guy gets the ball.
There you go. Oh man, it's nice to have Chris Conley back for sure.
Yep. Well, with that,
probably good for the day.
Yeah. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. We really appreciate you tuning in. Yeah. Well, you got anything else, Ted? You got anything else going on you want to let everybody know about?
I've got my usual Thursday show with Mike, the Faithful Dogs, Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern. Other than that, I haven't been really busy tracking people down to do shows, but I'll start ramping that up and get their busy bugging folks about it.
All right. And with that, we are out. Peace out and go Niners.
Peace. Go Niners.